Welcome to the podcast of the American Diversity Report. I'm Deborah Levine, the editor of the ADR and your host. And with me today is Arwen Lewis. She inhabits our blue planet, but so much about her belongs in the celestial realm. First and foremost, her earthly angelic voice. And then there's her lineage, the granddaughter of Oscar-winning actress Loretta Young and of Tom Lewis, who was the founder of the Armed Forces Radio Network during World War II. And then she's the daughter of Peter Lewis, a founding member of the 1960s psychedelic cult heroes Moby Grape. I remember them. And she's been part of the creative cosmos all her life. So it's no surprise that Arwen's new EP is called Under the Stars. So let's hear from Arwen about who she is and how she got involved in music, especially this new EP. Hi, Arwen.
Hi, Deborah. Thanks so much for having me on your show. And yeah, I started playing music in my 20s, seriously and taking it professionally. And first, I had the opportunity to learn from my dad. And so he started teaching me chords on the guitar, and we just started recording. And I kind of developed my ear that way. And we started, or he started teaching me through Moby Grape music, which is very intricate and sophisticated. And, you know, there's everything is in perfect harmony, the vocals and the instruments. So there's 5-part harmony on those tracks, of course. And so we learned about layering vocals and about harmony and about, recording the bones of a song first, like bass and drums, and then how, different guitar parts fit together, to make rock and roll music. And he is a close friend of John D. Nicola, who is the owner of OMAD Records. OMAD Records has released all of my music, or all of my professional recordings, and they're based out of New York City. And John D. Nicola, fun fact about him, he wrote Hungry Eyes and Time of My Life for the film Dirty Dancing. And so, but he's been an incredible musician his whole life. He's a great bass player, a great arranger, and I mean, he just was the perfect producer for me to work with. And when he knew that my dad and I were working together, he had this idea to make an album of me singing Moby Grape songs, and I thought that was audacious of me to present myself that way. But it ended up working out, and I went to New York, to Manhattan, and I recorded my vocals in his studio. My dad and I did a lot of work in California, for recording some guitar parts that we would send to John. But we went and kind of finished the vocals and everything in New York, and then John had hired, the best of the best studio and touring musicians to play all the parts. He had hired like a string section, like an orchestral string section to play on a couple songs. And it was just, I couldn't believe that I was a part of something like that. And that's how we were going to present me as an artist, to the music business and, the world yeah. So that was kind of crazy for me. But that was my foundation of learning. And I just kind of started performing with my dad, learning as I went. And this new EP, Under the Stars, I co-produced this with an artist and very talented musician named Jonathan McEwen. Jonathan was introduced to me. He's a friend of my parents, and they thought he could kind of mentor me a little bit, because he's very sophisticated, incredible performer. Like, he's just kind of one in a billion, somebody who can play anything. And the notes he plays, like every note just goes right through your soul. So he started mentoring me, and the first thing he kind of showed me to do was to tune my guitar down a whole step. And I found that my voice has a better tone in those registers, and I was able to move my notes around more in a lower register, though I kind of do have like a 3 octave, maybe even more range, but like I'm not like advanced at using it at the same time. But that's a goal of mine. Anyway, so this EP Under the Stars is how I would have wanted to, I think always like I've wanted to express or play that type of music. And I think that's kind of, it's more true to my spirit as an artist, though I love rock and roll. I love Moby Grape. Um, but this, it has a couple covers. It has a Jackson Brown cover of Doctor My Eyes, uh, Joni Mitchell's song, I Think I Understand, uh, two originals of mine, one called Winter, and there's two versions of that on the EP, and the other is Man on the Moon. And then a song that I guess I co-wrote with my dad, or I just used his lyrics, and I used his lyrics from a song called Black Moon, and then I kind of had this 3 chord country progression, and the track was built up with all the musicians I was working with. But yeah, I think the it's exactly how I would have wanted to express myself as an artist. And I'm happy that I got to co-produce it, and I had all the decisions and say in the end, and I got to work with a lot of very talented people, and I really loved the way each of them played, and so I knew that whoever was part of it, I knew that whatever they would play would have a certain mood in bringing like my basic songs to life in a new way. So it's a really beautiful experience.
It sounds just incredibly wonderful. So you wrote some of the songs also. Huh?
Yeah.
And when did you start writing songs?
um I mean, I've always written poetry,
Ah,
but songwriting, when I started learning about music, actually, like seriously about music. So in my 20s, yeah, I haven't, I mean, I guess I've written a handful of songs. I'm not Bob Dylan that gets an idea in his sleep, or, when he's having coffee or out to lunch or on a date. No, but like I find the songs that I really have to work really hard for me, I feel like they sound forced and they don't sound natural, and it doesn't really feel like I want to, put that out there. Though I mean, not that's not to say you shouldn't work on your songs and your music. Everybody has a different method, but the ones that I feel like have the most like magic and I feel good about releasing are ones that kind of just like really easily come through, and then um I'm able to kind of like bring them to life with other musicians. I like working with other musicians on my music because it opens my eyes up to something that I wouldn't have thought of, on my own.
yeah. Oh, goodness. So you sing and you create the songs, and do you play the guitar on the
Yeah,
tracks too?
yeah, I'm playing guitar on the album. So yeah, I play usually like a rhythm on my song Man on the Moon. I have like some melodic fills that I do. But mostly I'm a rhythm guitar player. But if like tonight I'm performing, I have an acoustic solo show, so it's just me and my guitar. And when I do that, rhythm with little like melody licks in the middle of, the vocals. So the vocals and the guitar kind of like talk to each other.
I see, I
Yeah.
see. So you have a show tonight.
Yeah, I do. Over at a club called Lost Chord Guitars in Solvang, California. It's a state-of-the-art listening room. I got really lucky to live around the corner from it, and I've been involved with them for a few years. And yeah, so I'm playing there tonight from 8 to 10.
Oh, what fun. I bet you enjoy it.
Oh, I do. I love it. I always, I say that I think art and music is where, people go to kind of just like escape from reality for a little while and go into some kind of like dreamy world, and then it helps you to reset and come back to life, and sometimes you get a new perspective. Or I think with my shows, like my thing is that I want people to feel better after they've had the experience with me. Like I like to create community, and I think that's why I love to go watch performances and music, whether it's like a ballet or a symphony or a rock concert or seeing a good movie, going to a museum. I like to be immersed in the art and allow that to, yeah, inspire me.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Or a good book. Good book does it
Oh, good
too.
book. Well, I told you I played the violin, but I didn't tell you that I actually had my own dance company and did
Oh,
choreography because the arts, as you say, is a path to something bigger than ourselves.
yeah, it's spirit. I think that's, it's spiritual. I mean, whatever you want to call it, but and it's all universal. Like we can all interpret it in one way or another, and that's what I think is so beautiful about it. It just kind of goes to show that, we can't all understand things, even if we're coming from different perspectives. Sometimes it just depends on your perspective interpretation of it.
There you go. And I understand that you also have a music podcast
Yeah,
called
I do.
The Arwen Lewis Show.
Yeah.
I love it. I want you to tell us a little bit more about it. And I also want you to tell us about your name, Arwen, and
Oh,
how that
yeah.
came about.
Well, my dad named me after a character from Lord of the Rings,
Oh,
from Tolkien. Yeah, she's the elven princess, and she is the
oh,
last and most beautiful of her kind. And she was kind of, yeah, she was a very strong and beautiful ethereal elvish character. And she her name means even star or evening star, or you can call that Venus now. Um So yeah, that's where my name came from the character from the Tolkien books. My dad said it was the Lord of the Rings trilogy was the Bible of the 60s. um and yeah, so oh yeah, and then the Arwen Lewis show. So I've done 99 episodes this year. I'm
Wow.
coming up on the 100th episode. And it was originally on terrestrial radio in Santa Barbara. And the reason why I got the show was because I was producing a concert series in Buellton, California at a venue called the Hitching Post. Have you seen Sideways, the movie Sideways? Have you
Not
heard of it?
yet. No, I have heard of it. Yes.
It's a wine movie, and part of it was filmed at the Hitching Post. And
Love it.
that film made the San Ynez Valley, because we're in wine country where I am. We have different microclimates here that is almost identical to old world Europe. And so we are able to grow basically every varietal within the San Ynez Valley because we have all these different pockets, and we have a mountain range that goes from west to east, which is very unusual, but they have this in Europe as well. And so that particular region is great for Pinot Noir and Chardonnay because the grapes, the breeze from the fog from the ocean can come
Yes.
through from the east to the west, and it keeps the grapes cool at night, and it doesn't get too hot during the day. And so, it's perfect for a smaller grape. But like we also have very hot little valley microclimates where you can grow like Cabernet, or Sauvignon Blanc does really good in that as well. But anyway, that we'll do another show on that maybe.
That's the Napa Valley.
No, I'm in San Ynez Valley.
Oh, okay. I love
So,
it. Okay, so
but the Hitching Post, the reason why I brought that up was
that
because of the
yeah.
Hitching Post. And so I was producing a concert series for them, and they became a huge success overnight because of the movie Sideways, which is about the wine industry here in this area.
Okay.
And but I had been doing training on the soundboard at Lost Chord Guitars. And Frank Ostini makes the wine for Lost Chord, or was making wine, and we still carry Hitching Post wine. And so um he I connected to Frank, and he asked if I would book their concert series and do the sound for it. And so of course I said yes, that sounds like a great time. And so I did that. And my executive producer Jeremiah Higgins, we are and I'm his company is Evolve Entertainment, and he has had a radio show for 10 years or so. He interviews people in food and wine culture, um, entertainment industry, all types of different musicians. So he has like, just like overall like an entertainment show, and he wanted to interview Frank. And so Frank invited me very graciously to come on the show with him and talk about the concert series and talk about my music. And he just wanted to help me get some exposure, which was just because he's nice. And so I was like, of course I will. And then Jeremiah, my executive producer from there, asked me to bring the artist for the Hitching Post concert series on, and I'd co-interview them with him, and we'll promote the series. And from there, he was like, Arwen, you're really good at interviewing people. Would you like your own radio show? And I was like, yeah. Like, I'd never thought in a million. I mean, I used to joke actually with my friend Shenandoah Smith. She took my album cover, and we used to joke that we were going to have a show called the Shenarwen Show. And so when I finally got my show, we were cracking up. We're like, oh my God, I actually have a radio show. This is hilarious, but beautiful. And it's been an incredible, incredible experience. I interview musicians. I've had some incredible music royalty, a lot of really talented indie musicians, and I've met so many people through it. I cannot keep up with all of the inquiries that I have because of the people that have put it out there. I've been connected to, I'm on lists for people to reach out to me and get on the show. And what I do is I interview musicians. It's an hour-long podcast, and then we play their music during the show. And we, just talk about their perspectives on music, songwriting. I mean, and I've also had a couple people who are musicians, but like I had a neuroscientist named Dr. Rich on the show who writes music, like children's music for films and things like that. But he's so much more. So he has a bunch of different like side big companies that he's part of too, and he's involved in education. So like that one was really interesting because it, anything that's involved with music, but if it can expand into other realms too, I really love that. And then I also really love just like people who are literally just musicians who um talk about their experience and inspiration for playing music, what types of music they play, how music works, songwriting. And yeah, so it's been a really great experience. And I just can't believe I've done 100 episodes, but now it's not on terrestrial radio anymore. We've moved to just podcast. And so I have a channel on Pantheon Podcasts. And then we're also on 6 syndicated streaming stations, online streaming stations that are based throughout the United States and in the UK as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, musicians have a great deal to offer and to say and to bring to us. I have a cousin who is a composer out in
Oh,
Hollywood. In
oh,
fact, he composed the music for my World War II documentary.
wow.
His
What
name,
is that called? Yeah.
oh, the documentary is called Untold Stories of a World War II Liberator.
Okay.
Okay. And my cousin is named Michael Levine.
Okay.
And maybe I should get the two of you together.
Oh, I would love to interview him. I love a composer. That would be great.
Well, and
Very interesting.
he's also a violinist uh, and great fun.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a great time to me, and I would love to meet him and have him on my show.
Okay, well, we will get together. I'm just so glad you're doing this with musicians who have so much to offer, not just in their music, but what they have to say about the arts and how it affects us and why we should support them all, right?
Oh, it's so important. It's what preserves our culture. Like it's history. Every time you release something, or you create a piece of art and it's out there in the world, like it's part of, the legacy of humanity.
Yes, it is. It is indeed. And we have young people today coming up who um, will be interested in hearing from you, but also um, hopefully will be the musicians of the future. And I'm wondering, what kind of advice would you have for a young person who has aspirations to be a musician?
Just do it. Don't just do it and practice, find a teacher who can teach you and practice on your own, learn on your own, listen to music that just goes right into your soul and moves you and learn that music and do it because you love to do it and don't look back.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I hope everyone out there is listening to that and paying attention. Because not only have you done that, but it has led to so many different things. You mentioned that you were conducting, that you were putting together concerts.
Yeah, so I did that last year for the Hitching Post, and actually I just started this week. I'm now the booking agent and manager for Lost Chord Guitars, the venue that I was telling you about in Solving.
Of course you
Um,
are.
well, a friend of mine, I mean, I've been involved with the club for 3 years. I work there, and I also perform there regularly. And I mean, I guess you could say like I've produced some very successful shows there. It's 100 seat, it's 100 person, it's a small listening room. But our owner's name is Chris Polonis, and he's very well known in the audio industry. He's I think he's designed like 100 recording studios or something. Um, and he was in Jeff Bridges' band, The Abiders, and he was Jeff Bridges' manager. And I just walked into the club and somehow, got involved. It was just kind of synchronicity. Um, but yeah, like, I mean, there were some shows that I did my release party for Under the Stars there. I had all the musicians who or most of them who played on the record come and play the record with me. And then me and my dad and our bandmate, George Adrian, who's a musician from Los Angeles, also did a set. We've been working together on a side project for about 10 years, writing songs. And it's interesting because there's 3 generations. There's me, and then George is in the middle, and then my dad. And we just met him in a club in LA. um, but so, yeah. And I've collaborated with a lot of different artists. And like I like to share the ticket with people because then I don't know, it just makes the show more eclectic and interesting. I like bringing people together, but tonight it's just me and myself and I for 2 hours, so that'll be
And
fun.
that'll be good too. So tell
Yeah.
me, what do you think will be your what you will do in, say, in the next 5 to 10 years? What is your plan, your dream?
I mean, I don't know that I have a plan, but my dream, I mean, I would love to like kind of step back from performing for a second. I mean, if I had it my way, like I would go to like a really prestigious music school and just learn
Oh,
like classical and jazz and study songwriting and performance. I'd take some ballet classes, that's what I would love to do. Um, and then so I can have more freedom when I write. Because I love my capabilities now, and I'm grateful, and I know that I'm far more capable, of course, than I was when I started, but I can only do so much because I'm only so versed um in theory. And I know, like, a lot of the times, like, I play from my ear and everything, and I play along with music that I love, but I think a little bit of theory would be really great, or a lot, like having a strong foundation to just have more freedom without becoming too. I don't want to be like, what's the word? Um, Generic in any way, but I do want more freedom. And like with the right teachers, I think it would be a really beautiful experience to just immerse myself in studying because I've been creating, and I work so much. And it would be nice to step back and just study and kind of disappear for a second and then come back and create. And then, you know, and then also being more capable playing with other people too. And I'd love to learn a little more about harmony and just become more of like a masterful musician.
I have a feeling this will happen.
Oh, thank you. I hope so.
I hope it will, and I have a feeling it will. It seems like everything that you have done so far has kind of blossomed, often unexpectedly. But there's a word in Yiddish for it. It's called beshert. It
Okay.
means fate. And I believe that your fate and your
Wow.
desire will interact. And I hope you'll stay in touch and let us know how things go, because it's so exciting to see you, blossoming in so many different ways. So tell us, is there something you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Trying to think. Oh, I can't quite give all the details yet, but I am part of a Christmas album that's going to be released coming up here in a couple months. And it's a collaboration of, I don't know, a group of artists where I actually have two songs on there. And then it's going to be eclectic. I think there's a Motown song. I have a song that my dad and I collaborated on that has an orchestral string section, and I'm singing. He played guitar and wrote the song. It's about, oh, I won't ruin that. And then I'm doing like a classic version of a Christmas song too. That's kind of like has an old timey vibe. There's gonna be folk and rock, and so keep an eye out for that. It's gonna be a good,
Absolutely
yeah,
wonderful. Um, I think you've been pretty busy, huh?
yeah. But it's good to stay busy.
Yes, I know that one.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so much for sharing what you're doing, what you're hoping to do. And I think that people will be very inspired by your stories of the present and what you hope for in the future. I know I am. And we'll look forward to having you catch up with us in the not too distant future. Thank
thank
you.
thank
It's
you so much, Deborah.
a pleasure. And thank you, audience, for joining us. And we'll see you soon again. Take care.